This video will go over some of the practice problems from Envision lesson 5-4, which is on inequalities with one step, adding and subtracting. And this is from page 277, and I'm looking at numbers 8 and 9. So if I'm going to solve this inequality here, x plus 10 is greater than or equal to 14, then I'm going to solve it like an equation. So I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. And when I do that, I get x, and I bring down the symbol, is greater than or equal to 4. And now I need to graph it. So when I make my graph, I'm going to put my solution in the center. So I'm going to put 4 here. And then I'm going to put some numbers around it. So this would be 5, I'm going to write 6, this would be 7, I'm going to write 8. And over here, working backwards, 4, 3, this would be 2, 1, and this would be 0. So I just like to put numbers around my solution. Since 4 is a solution, I'm going to put a circle at 4. And then I'm going to decide whether or not that I'm going to color that in. So I look back at the inequality that the solution I have, and I notice that it's greater than or equal to. So when it's greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to, when there's a line underneath, that's when you're going to color it in. And the reason why is because when I put 4 into the inequality we're given, and instead of x plus 10, I write 4 plus 10 is greater than or equal to 14, 4 works as a solution for this inequality. So since 4 does work, you color in everything that works. So based on the way my inequality looks, greater than, the things that are greater than 4 are on the right of 4. All the things greater than 4 are over here. So that's the way it's probably going to graph. And I can notice that my symbol at the end of my number line, the end of my line I drew, matches the symbol inside the solution. So that's good. But just in case, I'm going to check. So I'm going to check 8. So I'll put 8 in my inequality. X plus 8, plus 10 is supposed to be greater than or equal to 14. So I'm going to do 8 for x. X plus 10, is that greater than or equal to 14? 18 is greater than 14, so this value here makes the inequality true. So it's good that I'm shading this way because that is a solution. If I were to try something over on the other side, for example, if I would have tried 0, and I put it in here, 0 plus 10 is greater than or equal to 14. That's the inequality. If I put 0 in there, 0 plus 10 is 10. Well, 10 is not greater than 14. So that would not be true. And that's why we don't shade or color the line on the side with 0, because those things are not true. So that's number 8. I think I'm going to show something different other than number 9. So let me show a different problem. So here's number 13 from page 278. And it says, on a math test, students must solve this inequality, x minus 5 is less than 11, kind of like the math test you'll have next week. And then graph the solution. Mason said the solution is x is less than 6. And graph this solution here. What error did he make? Well, let's first do part B and do it and see how we would do this, and then we can figure out what error he made. So I'm not going to do number 14, so I'm going to use that space, and I'm going to write the inequality x minus 5 is less than 11, and I'm going to solve it. So to solve it, I'm going to draw down, and I'm going to bring this symbol down, and now I'm going to solve it like an equation. So to solve, I always do the opposite. So the opposite of subtract is to add. I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So that would give me 16 over here, and that would leave the x by itself on the left. So the solution I have is x is less than 16. That's a little bit different than what he had over here. We'll come back to what he must have done in a moment. So when I graph this, rather than having 6 towards the center, I'm going to put 16. And I'm going to put an open circle at 16. And then I'm going to check my solution. So when I do, this is really important, when I do 16, which is my solution, All right, sorry, RSS, R first. There's my R. Now my S, substitute. 16 minus 5 is less than 11. 16 minus 5 is 11. Now this is the part that confuses a lot of people because they're like, uh-oh, 11 isn't less than 11. I must have done something wrong. Okay, there's two things going on here. One, this right here that we just did, we were checking to see if we had the correct solution. And what that means is this number 16 the right number? And it is, and I know that because the 11 here and the 11 here are the same number. So that's what I'm looking for. Do I have the same number on both sides, just like it's an equation? And I do, so it means I have the right solution. But then how can it be that 11 is not less than 11? Well, what that means is at the 16, I can't color it in. I just leave the circle open. So I do put a circle at 16, I just don't color it in. So it's an open circle. Now I have to figure out where I will color things in. So it's x is less than 16, but not equal to 16. So I think my solution should be over here, like in the 14s and the 12s. Probably not in the 18s and the 20s. So let me check 14. So I'm going to do x minus 5 is less than 11. 14 minus 5, is that less than 11? 14 minus 5 is 9. And yes, 9 is less than 11. So that means my solution set is over here. Here's the things that x can be that will make that inequality true. Things that are less than 16. So now going back to what Mason had, how in the world did Mason get 6? Well, if you look back at the inequality, our first step here was to add 5. What if we would have subtracted 5 from 11? If we would have subtracted 11 minus 5, we would have had 6 and not 16. And that's probably where Mason made his mistake. And the thing is, if you use the numbers over here, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, if you use those back in the original inequality, you're going to get a true statement because those things are all less than 16. So you're going to think that you're right. But when you check this 6 and you put 6 in the original inequality, 6 minus 5 is less than 11. You'll have 1 is less than 11. You'll think, oh yeah, that's good. 1 is less than 11. But in this case, when you have the solution, you're not looking for what's less than 11. You're looking for that to be 11. I know this is really confusing. I know there's a lot to think about. So I'm just asking you to plug through and do your best. And and there's a lot of things to consider. But just try to solve them. Go through the steps. If you are doing your steps correctly that you learned from equation solving, everything will come out the way it's supposed to. So just have faith in the steps and just keep plugging away and keep trying. Okay, sorry for the long video, but I hope it helped.